What's going on, Leeds fans? This is TML Domain, aka Persian Poppy. Super excited about that win over the Edmonton Oilers. The Leafs came out very good in the first period, had tons of chances, but unfortunately the puck didn't go in, and the Oilers capitalized on their opportunities in the second period. And overall, the Leafs had a good first and a good third period. Not a very good second period. But like I said in my other videos, I think Galchenyuk is going to make a very positive contribution on the Leafs just because of his skill level. And then it came out in that third period. I mean, that between the legs pass to Tavares, leaving him wide open in front of the net, and he puts it past Mike Smith, was a great goal to bring it to one. Edmonton was up by one, and then he's battling in front of the net on the tying goal, and he gets behind the net, and one way or another he gets it out front. It goes off of Justin Hall's skate right to William Nylander, and he makes no mistake, and he ties that game. So a huge third period for that Tavares line. I'm very happy that they're getting some results. And John Tavares is just been taking the hits lately. I mean, and I've noticed I've been really keen in on John Tavares the last couple of games in the last little while, and you know, he gets hit a lot. He's always grinding it out. He's always on the boards. But he gets hit a lot, and some of the hits are up high. Cassian takes a run at him, which was clearly a charging call. Some Yahoo on Twitter messaged me that, your captain had his head down. It was a shoulder to chest. It was a clean hit. Nobody disputes any of that. That has none of that. When your head is down, whether it's a hit to the chest, doesn't matter where you make contact. None of that has to do with charging. Charging has to do with the distance traveled. Most often, the referees let you take 3 to 4 steps before you take a hit. Not that you fly in off the blue line and you travel 20, 30 feet at high speed. Leave your feet to make the hit. If you don't know what the rules of hockey are, don't message me. I don't want to hear your nonsense. Your captain had his head down. It was a hit to the chest. It was a clean hit. Doesn't matter if it's clean. Doesn't matter if his head was down. Doesn't matter where the principal point of contact is. None of that has to do with charging. Learn the rules before you start messaging me on Twitter. You dumbass. Come on, man. These fans, I swear to God, man. Listen, the Leafs are what, like 6-1-1 or something like that against the Edmonton Oilers this year. They've played 8 games. They're 6-1-1. There's one game left. Even if Edmonton wins tonight, it's 6-2-1. Clearly, the Edmonton Oilers can't play against a more dominant team. Sorry, Edmonton's not that good. Don't message me because you're angry that your team can't win a game. I'm not the one on the ice. I'm not McDavid refusing to back check in OT. McDavid could have skated harder. He could have caught up to Matthews. But he decided not to back check, and he decided not to play defense. And then, because you were lazy, a shot goes off a stick, hits a skate, and goes in the net. Tough luck. That's literally how hockey goes. The Leafs have seen their fair share against Winnipeg. A puck goes off a skate, hits another guy's skate, hits a stick, hits another skate, and it goes in the net, and that's just the way it goes. It's random people messaging me on Twitter with their random comments. If you don't know the rules of hockey, if you don't know what a charging call is, if you don't know what a boarding call is, if you don't know what the rule is, then don't message me about it. But, that OT win is good, is hopefully a big boost. I said in my previous video, I think their Leafs are about to go on a run. And then today the Leafs got some, well, the Leafs put out some news from the morning skate. It looks like Hutchinson is starting tonight. It looks like Sheldon Keefe has not committed to backing up Campbell tonight. So there's a good chance that due to whether he re-aggravated something, Keefe said that Campbell didn't feel too good after the game against Edmonton. So if they're gonna completely give him the night off tonight, Hutchinson's gonna start, and the backup on the bench is gonna be Vevalainen, I believe. Let me double check his name. Yeah, Veni Vevalainen, who has one NHL career. At this point, to be honest with you, I wouldn't put Hutch in net. I would put the Finn goalie in net. Because you're better off. So there's really three scenarios. Hutchinson starts. He plays good enough to stay in net the whole game. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is Hutchinson gives up a few bad goals, and the Finnish goalie has to come in, at some point in the game to finish it out. And that's not fair to him. He doesn't have a lot of NHL experience. He's going to come in cold. At this point, Hutchinson has no real upside for the Leafs. There's no chance for him to work his way up the goaltending chain for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, he's never gonna, take the backup job from Campbell, and he's never gonna take the number one job from Anderson. He's really just signed to be a depth guy. So I would start the Finnish goalie. I would start Vevalainen and see what's there. If he plays good tonight and Campbell turns out to be, maybe he re-aggravated something and he can't start the next game, at least you know what you have in your goalie. I mean, the Leafs are playing Edmonton tonight, then they got Winnipeg, 2 games. These are important games in the standings. And, Hutchinson is just as much of a question mark in net as Vevalainen. I don't know. Like, I know Hutchinson has had one good start this season against the Edmonton Oilers when the Leafs really played well. But I don't know. I think it's too much to ask of the Leafs to go out there and play this like 100% error-proof, zero mistake game because of who's in net. I think either way, Hutchinson is never going to be the guy in Toronto. He's always just going to be a third or fourth string goalie. So I just start the Finn and see what happens. There's been a lot of times where, teams go up against an unknown goalie and they don't know how to shoot, and he ends up having a decent night. So, I know it's a shit situation. I depending on it, they say they're going to wait after the morning skate to wait to see if Campbell's going to back up, but just give him the night off. If he's feeling anything, give him the night off. The Leafs cannot afford to go down the stretch here with the amount of 5 games and 8 nights or something like that. They can't afford to put Jack Campbell in net. Unfortunately, when Campbell was hurt, Freddie played through the groin situation, and he gutted it out for the teams, for the team. And sure, he wasn't playing his best, and he didn't put up the best numbers, but he gutted it out. And I don't think Jack Campbell is capable of that. That's why he's never been a number one, maybe. So at this point, if Jack Campbell's not feeling great, sit him out. Let Vevalainen start. Worst comes to worst, you pull him in the first and Hutch goes in net. But seeing as the way, Edmonton uses the one-timer situation, like their passing is really good. You saw it last game in the second period. McDavid flying down the wing. He just took a little peek and he put it right on the tape for Draisaitl to one time that in the corner of the net. And they've done that a lot this season. So I don't know if Hutch is the guy. I would love to see what the Leafs have in Vevalainen. And like I said, when you play an unknown goalie, sometimes that kind of messes with your head and you end up having a good night. The Oilers aren't a crazy scoring team. Literally, it's just McDavid and Draisaitl. If they don't score, you're not going to get much from anybody else. So we'll see what happens tonight. I'm hoping if Hutchinson starts, hopefully he has a good night. You don't need him to be a superstar, but you do need him to save the easy ones, which he didn't against the Ottawa Senators last time he started. They put two easy goals behind him, and it wasn't pretty. So I got to say, I'm pretty nervous about tonight. I got butterflies. Big game in the standings. I'm really hoping the Leafs come off flying tonight. I think the Leafs have kind of been, stuck in mud, quicksand, whatever you want to call it. They haven't been playing great, but I think that comeback win is going to energize these guys to play better, and I hope we see it tonight. Regardless of who's in net, the Leafs have to pay attention to two guys. They have to shut down those two guys. You're not scared of Yamamoto or Kyle Turris or Zach Cassian, Tyler Ennis. I mean, these are not the guys that you're afraid of. It really just comes down to two guys. So don't take penalties. Don't give them power play opportunities. Play a nice solid game. And I got faith in my boys. Great comeback win. Great third period by that second line. And, if Galchenyuk can keep this up for the rest of the season, it could solidify that second line in terms of the left wing spot, so you don't have to move around too many guys there. And all the Leafs have to do is go out and get one left winger to play with Matthews on the top line, and then you can slot Hyman, Simmons, Thornton, Spezza properly. The playoffs are grinded out, grueling hockey, and I'm not so sure how much these older guys can handle it. I think right now, since Wayne Simmons has come back, he's getting better and better by the game, getting confidence in his wrist and hitting people and getting a little bit tougher and rougher. And hopefully he starts shooting again and things like that. Matthews had one crazy shot. I think it was in the first period where he just skated down the wing and he ripped the wrist shot. I don't know if Mike Smith got a piece of it or if it rang off the crossbar, but we haven't seen that wrist shot in a while. So hopefully his wrist is getting better. Matthews scored. I mean, it's funny. In that game, he had a couple of opportunities to score. One was on that power play where he ripped that one timer and Mike Smith trapped it between his glove and his pad. I was like, how does that even happen? But he's been shooting a lot, and then the one time it deflects off a stick and a skate and it goes in, and that's how you get the goal. That's the way hockey works. First half of the season, he was ripping everything into the top corner and here and there, and it was gorgeous. And now, coming back from his wrist situation, he's shooting again. He's hitting a bunch of posts, and the goalies are making some crazy saves off his shots. And the one that he gets, deflection off a stick, and then the skate, top corner. So that's the way hockey goes. You have to keep skating, you have to keep shooting, and you have to keep trying. The effort level has to be there, and uh, I would love for the Leafs to go out and get a great left winger, um, Ricard Raquel, Nick Foligno. There's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of I don't want the Leafs to touch Taylor Hall at all. I don't want this guy near the Toronto Maple Leafs. Taylor Hall's teams for some reason don't have a lot of success. He's not the kind of guy that really steps up and drives play in key moments, key situations. You know, it is what it is, but I have no faith in Taylor Hall showing up, going on the line with Matthews and Marner and starting to produce at a $7 million pace. So it is what it is. The NHL has changed the quarantine policy from 14 days to 7 days. So I think that's why maybe that's why the Leafs haven't made a move yet. That 7 day quarantine kind of buys them a little bit of time. And I personally think here's my conspiracy theory of the day. Freddie Anderson is injury is worse than they're letting on. He's getting multiple whenever you have an injury and you're getting multiple opinions and you're going all over the place to see what's the best course of action. That that points to things not being great with Freddie. So they put him on LTIR. If he has to get a small procedure or something like that done to help him get ready for the playoffs or be healthy for the playoffs and rehab and do whatever he has to do, I think personally, he's not going to be back anytime soon. The Leafs are going to put him on the LTIR, and I don't think he's going to be back for the regular season, to be honest. There's only 20 games left, 21 games left. And with Freddie on LTIR, they have a bunch of money to spend. And they don't have to worry about his cap hit until the playoffs, where the cap doesn't exist. So once the season ends, pretty much like what Tampa Bay Lightning did this year, they put Kucherov on LTIR for the season to be cap compliant. And then once the playoffs start, he's magically going to show up. So I think this is something the Leafs can do. If they put Freddie Anderson on the LTIR, which he is right now, and he doesn't come back, and they don't foresee him coming back, I think there's a good chance the Leafs make multiple moves. Maybe they go out and get a Granlund and a Foligno or Ricard Raquel and Mikael Granlund, which helps the Leafs' first and third lines. Obviously, Kerfoot would be an example of a player that would be moved in that situation. Um, you know, the Leafs technically could have $66.5 million in terms of cap space come the trade deadline, which prorates to more than $7 or $8 million being able to be spent. So it's an interesting situation. I think this whole Freddie Anderson situation, whether he comes back or not, or whether they foresee him coming back or not, changes the trade deadline considerably for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maybe they go out and trade for a goaltender to help with that situation. There are goaltenders available. There are good goaltenders available. Buffalo has one goalie I would personally be interested in. I wouldn't go to Arizona for goaltending. You could go to Minnesota. So there's a decent amount of goalies out there on expiring contracts who are UFAs. So Maybe the Leafs get a goalie and a forward, a goalie and a defenseman, maybe a defenseman and a forward. It's hard to tell at this point. There's a lot of crazy rumors out there. Like the Leafs have an offer out on Philip Forsberg, which includes Kerfoot, a first round pick, and Rodion Amirov. Um, the only reason why I don't talk about Philip Forsberg a lot is because his cap hit is 6 million this season and 6 million next season. That would really hinder the Leafs. Even if you get rid of Kerfoot, it really hinders the Leafs unless Nashville is taking half of that and just trading Leafs a $3.5 million cap hit, which is equal to Kerfoot's. Acquiring $6 million really hinders the Leafs in the offseason in terms of re-signing Hyman, re-signing Freddie, if that's what they're planning on doing, or even adding. I mean, $6 million is a lot. That's Kerfoot plus $2.5 million. So, it really changes the cap dynamic for the Leafs. That's why I don't really foresee the Leafs going after a guy like Philip Forsberg unless there's significant money being retained on that contract. Which, the more money you retain, the better your return is going to be. A recent example is Buffalo got 2 picks for Eric Stahl because they retained a lot of his salary, 50% of his salary. So I'm going to be watching the game with butterflies in my stomach. I have them right now. I'm super nervous. I don't know what's happening with the goaltending situation. But at this point, if you're going to start a complete unknown in net, why not start the Finn goalie? Everybody knows what Michael Hutchinson is. And no knock on Michael Hutchinson. I mean, he can play good in fits and starts, but sometimes you just put an unknown goalie in net, and it messes with the shooters a little bit. It's man, this season has been so weird with COVID, the shortened season with the compressed schedule. The Leafs play like 4 games or 3 games in 14 nights. It's they've been afforded some practice time and some recuperation time, but it's come at a weird point in the schedule. So once the Leafs play tonight, their season series with Edmonton is over. They don't play Edmonton again this season. So I think they will have 21 games left in the season with 6 with Winnipeg, 6 with Montreal, 3 with Calgary, 4 with Vancouver, and 2 with Ottawa. So that's your 21 games left in the season. I think it's favorable. I mean, 3 against Calgary, 4 against Vancouver, 2 against Ottawa. Though that's 9 games out of 21 that are completely winnable games. Calgary is not very good this year. Vancouver is not very good this year. Ottawa is not that great this year. So, you just have to worry about the 12 games with Winnipeg and Montreal, and Winnipeg being a good team. I said at the beginning of the season that Toronto and Winnipeg were the two best teams in this division, and Montreal is up and down. So the Leafs' remaining schedule looks favorable. Hopefully they can figure out this goaltending situation. Maybe they can acquire a goalie. Yeah. Positive thoughts. Leafs Nation, go Leafs, go. We're going to win tonight. We're going to bury Edmonton in the standings. We're going to go back up 5 points on these guys and put a serious seed of doubt in Edmonton's head that come the playoffs, whether we play them in the first round or the second round, there's no chance. I don't care who you put in there. So, but that game, that overtime win by the Leafs was thrilling from start to finish. I was happy, I was sad, I was upset. My emotions were all over the place. At the end of the day, I was very happy that the Leafs won. But imagine that in a 7-game series. Holy smokes. Come on. But the only thing I dislike about a 7-game series with Oilers is the Edmonton fans. Edmonton fans say the most random things on Twitter. Um, you know, maybe it's not the good ones that are on Twitter. Maybe it's just it's the homers that are on Twitter and say the most random things. But Edmonton's only made the playoffs twice in the last 14 years or something like that, so they don't have a lot of success to point towards. So they're an unknown in the playoffs. They haven't really gotten anything done in the playoffs, much like the Leafs. So hopefully the regular season dictates what the Leafs are going to do in the playoffs. And hopefully they go into the playoffs with some healthy goaltending. Or at least one healthy goalie. Please, God. Please, God. Please. One healthy goalie. All we need is one. Either Campbell completely healthy or Freddie completely healthy. But somebody needs to be healthy, please. And Dubas, you need to go get that power left winger. Super excited. Cannot wait for the trade deadline to come and go. We're almost there. Let me know what you guys think. Is it even a good idea to trade someone like a Rodion Amirov and a first round pick for Philip Forsberg? I mean, I don't know. He's a scorer. He can play decent defense. He's not a bad player by any stretch, but is this a guy with 1 year left on his contract that the Leafs can sign long term? Can they afford this guy in a flat cap world? If you sign this guy and all you get is this season and next season, and then you can't afford to re-sign him afterwards, I mean, giving up a first in Rodion Amirov, it hurts. But 2 years from now, Rodion Amirov could be on an entry-level contract playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, scoring goals, making plays. And that's a rookie contract that's cheap. Is Rodion Amirov, at the high end of his at the high end of what he's capable of doing? Is his ceiling very different from Philip Forsberg? If he comes in the NHL and scores 20 goals in his first season, I mean, you don't even need to make that trade in a couple of years, but I guess you got to go for it. I think maybe you got to go for it all this season. Maybe this season is your prime opportunity to go far in the playoffs, win a Stanley Cup, or maybe it isn't. You never know. I'm glad I'm not the one having to make these decisions, because in a couple of years, when you got to re-sign Philip Forsberg, Rodion Amirov could be playing for the Leafs on an entry-level contract, and that's bang for your buck right there. Bang for your buck. It's a hard trade-off. Do you want Philip Forsberg now and next season, and maybe you don't get to re-sign him? Or do you want Rodion Amirov for the next God knows how many years? 3 years entry level, and then re-sign him after that? It's a tough call. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be watching tonight. The goal light is on. Leafs are going to fill the net tonight. I know it. All right, Leaf fans. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you guys tomorrow.